Jimmy, I don't think this chair is sound, okay? I'm just not convinced. It's real squeaky, okay? We don't have to... This chair is... It's a little out of control, it's okay. Hey, what's up, guys? So what are you waiting for? If you're excited for today's video, drop a like down below. It seriously helps me and the channel out. And click that subscribe button and turn on the bell for notifications so that you never miss a beat. What's up, guys? Let me pop the collar for this one. Hope all of you are doing well. That's not popped enough, all right? We got lots to talk about today. Apple events, iPad Pros. Let's just start off with the displays, though, because you know how Apple... One second. You guys know this thing that Apple just announced is the Studio Display? I'm trying to get it in frame. Let me just slink down here. This is Apple's new Studio Display. My review, I like it, but it's kind of weird. Listen, I mean, the design of this thing is great, but there are some quirks, like, I don't know, the fact, I'm gonna drop this, the fact that the power cable doesn't really come out. Like, you can rip it out, but I can't really get the power cable out. There's also basically an iPhone 11 inside with the A13 chip. It's just a weird monitor, right? It starts at $1,600, which is just a couple $100 less than the entire 27-inch iMac with a full computer inside started at. So me and a lot of other people, we just feel very mixed about it. Although the speakers are incredible and the mics are really good and the actual quality of the display panel is nice for an LCD. My point being, I was like, hey, this is fine because Apple's not done here. See, previous rumors said that Apple was going to do this trio of monitors that kind of mirrored what they did in the mid-2000s, how they had 3 monitor sizes like such that a lot of people seem to really like. It makes me question why they stopped doing this in the first place. And I don't know, if you go over to Apple's site right now, they have a whole section called displays now. It used to just be the Pro Display XDR, where it does show that really expensive high-end model, but also this new mid-end $1,600 to $200,000 offering. Then there was going to be this third monitor, and then this fourth no, I'm kidding, I don't have a fourth one. But there's gonna be this third monitor that was part of Apple's new trio, maybe like the Studio Display Mini. Like a 4K 24-inch panel that still is Retina, that looks really nice, and maybe has some quirks, but that is under $1,000, maybe at $1,000, just something lower range that is like legitimately can be called affordable. Nope, it's not happening. It's actually not coming at all, according to this new report. So we don't get it. Bye. Yeah, according to Mark Gurman, who is the top Apple source in the game, Apple is done after the Studio Display. I mean, there is a follow-up to the Pro Display XDR coming that's going to be 7K and have the same A13 chip inside, but it's going to be the expensive multi-$1,000 upgrade, which puts us in a weird spot because it's basically, once again, you have a $6,000 offering or a mid-tier offering, but not a low-end offering. Like, when is the Apple Studio SE coming? Apparently, it's not, and I feel like this is just such a miss. Listen, Apple, this is a hostage situation. I just want an actually affordable monitor, or this iMac goes bye-bye. I said stay back, Tim, all right? I'm not playing games here. I don't know, I was just kind of looking forward to this trio to be complete, but it looks like they're just doing this duo, and this duo is gonna be sticking around for some time. And speaking of affordable stuff, you know how art is usually really expensive and it's something only billionaires can buy because of its value? Well, what if you and me could now have a seat at the table because somebody out there called Masterworks is democratizing art? So you guys know Steve Jobs, of course, but I didn't know that he was actually super into art, which actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it. But again, Steve Jobs was also super rich and could just go around and buy art. It's something that I've always been interested in, and then you look at prices and you're like, well, I guess I'll sell my whole body. But guys, this company called Masterworks, who sponsored today's video, is like totally flipping the script where it's not just restricted to billionaires anymore. People like you and me can invest in artwork and make money from it. Since 2020, Masterworks has sold 3 paintings because they're incredibly selective, with each returning over 30% net IRR to investors, and their new offerings usually sell out in hours. This is one of those sponsors where I'm just like, this is so cool. Like, I get to talk about this. I love investing. It's very important to me and how I've built a lot of wealth, and now I'm getting to share this whole new asset class that was previously restricted with all of you. We can invest in these artworks together. I'm not wasting any time. Head over to Masterworks and start investing in this all new asset class before the line gets even longer. Okay guys, moving on from that, you know the iPad Pro, that thing that hasn't been updated yet this year? What? That's kind of weird, because if you look at the past 2 releases, there's a trend here. So just to walk you really quickly through the recent timeline of iPad Pro updates, it got its major redesign in October of 2018. This was the all-new all-screen design with the flat edges that really set off a design trend that Apple has put in most of their other products now. Then about a year and a half later, in March of 2020, Apple updated the iPad Pro with the Magic Keyboard. They added cursor support to the iPad, which was crazy, but also this new dual camera system that had a LiDAR sensor on there. That update happened in the spring, and then a year later in the spring, in April of 2021, we got the M1 iPad Pro, which I was like, all right, we got the M1 chip, surely the iPad Pro is gonna be transformative now, right? Right, guys? Right? If you put the M1 Mac chip, I'll certainly have Final Cut Pro on my iPad Pro. Right? No? Okay, that's fine. I can wait. Well, you would think, right, since we got the second gen update in the spring and the third gen update in the spring, that we would be getting this new 2022 iPad Pro in the spring as well, right? Actually, no, they're not doing that this time. They're switching it up again. According again to Mark Gurman, Apple is working on a new iPad Pro, but it's coming sometime this fall between September and November, so Apple's gonna basically switch back to the year-and-a-half upgrade cycle, generation over generation. But this time that could make sense because it's supposedly gonna be a bigger upgrade. Not only is the M2 chip coming inside, but Apple's working to add MagSafe here. And you might be like, wait, how MagSafe work? This is a metal back. Like, this is just straight aluminum. How the is Apple gonna put MagSafe on the iPad? Not to mention that this little tiny puck on the back just looks comical. I mean, to be fair, apparently MagSafe is gonna be part of a larger redesign, which Gurman initially said was going to be all glass with a full glass back, but the 9 to 5 Mac was apparently like, yo, Apple employees tested this, and if you dropped it at all, even once, if you looked at it wrong, it cracked on the floor. So Apple is walking that back and putting MagSafe in the Apple logo. I guess my question is, like, where else can the iPad Pro go? Because the only thing I hear people saying they want is that they want it to be an actual functional computer replacement. I don't know, I just feel like every conversation at this point comes back to iPadOS just not delivering on what it's supposed to be year after year. But hey, maybe this year at WWDC 2022 we'll see it, because that's what we say every year. And hey, if we see it enough, maybe it'll happen. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, that is going to be the next event that Apple holds. It is their Worldwide Developers Conference, and it is the big event, honestly my favorite every year, where we get all the new software, the new macOS, the new iOS, the new iPadOS, but also watchOS and tvOS too. Well, according to John Prosser, Apple is making some big changes this year. We have the date number 1, which is March 6th. This is a Monday. This lines up with what Apple usually does, which is holding it in early June. But as you know, because there's been a pandemic the past couple years, it's been virtual. Well, apparently things are changing, because my boy John Prosser says that he has heard that WWDC is going to be in person, which is obviously a pretty big, bold thing to say. I mean, there hasn't been an in-person Apple event in a long time, and they're gonna return with a massive 5,000 person conference. On one hand, I'm like, no way, we're not ready for that. Like, the virus is still a thing. On the other hand, I'm like, cases are declining. Everybody could wear masks and be a little farther apart from each other, and I think it would be fine. What I'm trying to say is that I would be comfortable attending this event because I know Apple would take it seriously and have a lot of precautions, but I also totally understand how a lot of other people would be uncomfortable, and this would be a risk for them that they don't want to take. You also have to remember Mark Gurman's report from last year, where he said that internally Apple has discussed getting back to in-person events as soon as possible, and not just like as soon as possible. They wanted to go back to in-person events last year. And listen, I know there's a lot of you that love the virtual events. You really think the cinematography is A1, you love how it is quick and concise, and there is minimal cringe, and I believe you. I like them too. I love the virtual events, but there is something about the energy of live events that I cannot wait to get back. For example, later this year, Apple said to be dropping this new AR/VR headset. Can you imagine them unveiling this never-before-seen product and having it sound like this? Now, Apple wants this to happen, like when they unveiled the Apple Watch before anybody knew this was a real thing back in 2014. I bring this up to say that when Apple unveils this new VR headset, which we've heard is toward the end of the year, I absolutely believe 100% it is going to be in person over virtual. But now at WWDC, especially a conference that is Apple's biggest people conference of the year, literally thousands of people, I'm just not super confident that's going to happen at this point, although it could because things are going well now. I just worry that they're going well now, but what if the whole global situation changes in a couple of months and then the event's happening and it's this big disaster, you know? Anyway, guys, that's the latest. I hope you're doing well. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like down below. Hope you're doing well, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace. I don't want the stars to... Oh, shit, I just knocked over my display. So what were we talking about? Oh, by the way, I just scratched my desk. Are you kidding me? I actually scratched my desk from that? Okay. Well, this is really sad. That's a bad scratch, man. This was such a nice desk. I'm actually sad now. F you, bro. F you. Do you guys also get extreme anxiety when I touch these? Because you're like, how does this guy just palm it? Buster, I went to the gym 5 days last week. Well, what if I told you that just like Steve Jobs, you can also invest in art now, but not as a billionaire? Like, you are Steve Jobs, but you're not actually Steve Jobs. You're you, and everybody loves you, but you can now invest in art. I would say, like, I like you, I want to be friends with this guy. I don't think there's not... Okay, guys, next up, you want to talk about the iPad. You guys know the iPad. It's everybody's favorite pad with an I. I mean, you might even say it's iPad.